Welcome to Royalwood Church, and thank you for joining us online. If this ministry has impacted your life in any way, please share your testimony by sending us an email at media@royalwood.cc. We would love to hear about your experience. Or if you would like to give to the church financially, you can do so online at royalwood.cc by simply clicking on the Giving tab. Also, if you would like to be notified when we upload new sermons, subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. Once again, thank you for joining us online. Please open up your heart to receive a word from God today.
On you. So, Mark the 10th chapter, verse number 46, and they came to Jericho, and as he went out of Jericho with his disciples, talking about Jesus, and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the highway side begging. Everybody say begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And many charged him that he should hold his peace. Anytime you ever want to cry to the Lord, somebody's going to be there to impede your progress. Hold on, shh, watch out. We don't do it that way. He didn't call your number yet. And this is what happened. And many charged him, saying, and he should hold his peace, but he cried the more a great deal, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying unto him, be of good cheer, or of comfort. The King James says, rise, he calleth thee. And he, casting away his garments, rose and came to Jesus. And just for a little while today, I'm going to talk to you about cast it aside. Cast it aside. Turn to somebody before you sit down and tell them, cast it aside. All right, you can be seated. Y'all know what throw it away means. Throw it aside, cast it aside, kick it to the curb. You know all those expressions. I've got to get you into the life of blind Bartimaeus for just a minute. Yeah, I know it's hard. I told the first service today, I said, we've been working on the lights. We've been working on all this stuff. And we've got things that I don't want to say the devil got into the dimmers, but the devil got into the dimmers, I guess, and it's a little darker over on the right-hand side. If we don't have it fixed by this next week, we're going to give all of you flashlights. And you can see better over there. But blind Bartimaeus, Bar means son. You remember when Jesus said, blessed art thou, Simon Bar Jonah, or son of Jonah? That's how that's used. And Timaeus actually just means blind man or blind men. So Bartimaeus was son of a blind man. Father and son both blind. That's a tragic thing. And how terrible it would be to be blind and poor. He's a beggar, so he's not only blind, but he's also poor. Now, let me just tell you, in Bible times, if you were blind, you were probably going to be poor because what you needed to do to work, you needed to see. And so there was nothing he could do. The crafts and tending the fields and all of that stuff it just wasn't going to work. He was blind and poor, and he had a father who was blind. So this poor thing probably had carried on for some time, and he was wearing beggarly garments. There was something about the robe, not just threadbare or whatever. There was something they wore that identified them as a beggar. In Bible times, if you're ever reading through the Bible, let me just tell you this so you'll understand this, that garments were very important in the Bible. The apparel of the Bible is very important. We ought to do a study of it sometimes and go through some of it. But apparel was very important back in Bible times. Obviously, in this day and time, apparel is not very important. And what I mean by that is the apparel that people wear doesn't seem to matter to them. And sometimes the apparel that people don't wear doesn't seem to matter. And then there are people that are wearing things that obviously they never looked in the mirror, or they probably wouldn't be wearing that. whatever it is. So, in our day and time, people don't say, well, they look like a beggar. But there's certain occupations in our world that if you see somebody dressed a certain way, you immediately think, well, that's, if they're wearing a lab coat, that must be a doctor. They got scrubs, that must be a doctor. So there are certain occupations that when you see them and they're dressed a certain way, then that means that must be what that person does. And so they're dressed in that fashion. In the scripture, Adam and Eve they were clothed with leaves at first, and then the Lord put skins on them. That was very vitally important about the first time that blood was shed and the covering that the Lord prepared. That was very important. In another place in the scripture, Judah had a son named and he was wicked, and God killed him. And the scripture said his wife wore the garment of a widow. She had on a widow's garment, whatever that was. Maybe it was the color, maybe the style of it, whatever it was that was so vital. In Leviticus 6 and verse 11, the priest put on a linen garment when they went into the temple, and then they put on other garments when they carried the ashes that was there burned in the sacrificial fire, when they carried that outside of the camp. Isaiah said, the Lord hath put on garments of vengeance. I don't know what that looked like, but I don't ever want to see it. But he had on a certain garment Isaiah saw. Isaiah said, the Lord hath clothed me with the garment of salvation. Brother, there's nothing better than putting on the armor of God and the salvation of the Lord. In Jeremiah, the king of Babylon took the king of Judah and took the prison garments off of him. So whatever color it was or whatever fashion it was, everybody knew, hey, he's a prisoner. Years ago when I was a kid, you didn't go up Interstate 59 or 45 to Dallas. There was a back road. I don't even remember what road that was that we would get on, but we would drive up to Dallas, but we had to go through Huntsville, and that's where the big prison is. And even as a little kid, I remember the signs they had out there that said, do not pick up prisoners. And you'd see them working on the side of the road. They had these white and black striped outfits on, and so they were identifiable. When you saw those, the guard was out there maybe on horseback or something like that, and these guys were working in the fields, or they might be working along the side of the road, but they had to put up signs saying, do not pick up the prisoners. I got to thinking about that after I thought. Now, I didn't think about this when I was riding along with my mom and dad. What I was thinking about when I was riding along with my mom and dad is, when are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? That's the way we usually started it, because we couldn't wait to get there. Can we stop somewhere? And that was back in the day when there wasn't a whole lot of stores. There was electricity, but there just wasn't a lot of stores. And Dad would just get in the car, and it's like, well, we'll stop, but we're going to leave Houston, but we're not going to stop till El Paso. That's how long we're going to go. But I got to thinking about that why would they have to put up signs like that? Probably because somebody actually picked up one time, which they were no longer alive, but they may have just said, hey, there must be maybe they're a referee in the NFL or something, or they're a basketball coach or something. They got that striped outfit on. Let's pull over and pick them up. Looks like they could need some help. But they had to put up signs saying don't pick them up. And they always had clothes. They didn't just say wear what you want to wear. They had identifiable garments, whatever those are. Sometimes their color. There's a color. There's in our neighborhood, every now and then in the median, they'll have guys out there working that didn't pay their ticket or didn't appear in court. And they got on these orange outfits, and man, they're out there working. And so you will know that these are people that they have some things they're having to clear up in their lives, so they're identifiable. And so in this scripture, this beggar had on something that people recognized him to be a beggar. It wasn't just he was blind, but it was also the fact that he was a beggar. And so when he heard that Jesus was coming, he starts crying out. Listen to me carefully. When you have opportunity with the Lord, when the Lord moves in a service, like in the choir time, or maybe when we're around the front, we ask people to come and pray, or maybe at the end of service when we gather in and we're worshiping the Lord. And I'm telling you, don't forget, after you get through, go into next steps. If you want to get a Bible study, you want to be baptized, and we're promoting all of that, and you're feeling the presence of the Lord, don't let something stop you from getting to the Lord. There's going to always be somebody come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, man, it's getting late. Let's go beat the Baptists to Luby's. Or whatever you're doing. Let's hurry up and get out of here. And right in the middle of that, something's going to stop you from getting to the Lord. This man was told, let's hold it down. Let's don't have church that noise level. Let's don't do things this way. But he knew his chance was coming by. He was not going to miss it. Don't miss your opportunity with God. When God comes by, if you got to cry louder than the next guy, cry louder than the next guy. Give it all you have. There have been times I've been in the altar. You ever been distracted in the altar? I have. I'm talking about if you do come to the altar, you've probably been distracted at some point. Well, I don't come to the altar because I don't want to be distracted. Well, look, if you sit back too much, you'll really be distracted. So when you come down to the front, you don't know what's going on behind you, and that's a great feeling. What you don't know don't hurt you, so just let it go. So I've been in the altar before, and I'd just be getting such a touch from the Lord, and oh, this is so wonderful. And somebody will come up and try to give me some word from the Lord, which when I hear it sometimes I realize this ain't from the Lord, but it's just trying to distract me from the Lord. You know, somebody's got to fine tune what's going on in your life, and it's evidently you're not on the same channel as me, because I'm feeling the Lord, and what you just said has nothing to do with what God's trying to do for me. There's always going to be somebody getting between you and the Lord. Some circumstances, some situation, something's going to come to your mind. It may be something that's happened in your past, but whatever you do, when you get to that place where God is coming by your pew, or he's coming by where you are, don't let anything stop you from crying out until you get your answer. I know you're saying, when are you going to get to that part about his garment? Because, Pastor, lunch is coming. It's going to be there when you get through. You can't go to, one thing you can't do, you can't go to Chick-fil-A today. That's one thing you can't do. You're going to have to go somewhere else. Popeyes or somewhere like that. It's actually Popeyes, right? Yes, Sister Macy, she was looking over there. Here's the look that she had. I knew this. I could see it out of the corner of my eye. When I said Popeyes, which is the way we always said it when I was growing up, she looked over to somebody like, God help the little guy. You're going to get there, and I'm going to get to that spot, so just hang on. Jesus says, call him. Tell him to come over here where I'm at. The Bible said he arose, which actually the Greek word means this. He was leaping up. It wasn't something where he just kind of, okay. Do I have his driver's license to make sure I know that it is the Lord? Can he give me 3 signs? Can I hear some other word? When they said he calls for you, that's all he needed. He jumped to his feet, and the Bible said he cast off his garment. Now let me tell you why he did that. Because in his faith, he knew, I'm not going to need this anymore. This beggarly garment that all of y'all identify me as a beggar, I'm through with this. If he's calling me, this garment's going. So somewhere you got to cast off some things. Somewhere you got to cast aside some things. Listen, he didn't go on a campaign down with beggarly garments. He didn't get up and preach the next service down with beggarly garments. But what he did do was cast his aside. Some of you are so burdened down and occupied with trying to correct all of the things of life, when what you need to do is the thing that's holding you back, cast that aside and let God handle the other things. Those things that wrap around you that you've always had, because I just can't seem to get through like everybody else. When the Lord calls you, and he's calling you today, get up and throw that off and say, this is my day. I'm going to do what God wants me to do today. He cast that garment away. I'm not going to need this garment anymore. You know, whenever our house flooded, and it was 5 feet of water. I'm 5'9", 5'10", or whatever it is. When I played basketball, they said I was 6'1". You know, they always kind of fudge it a little bit. And so I'm about 5'10", and the water got up 5 feet. That means, you know, it wasn't, if I'd have been in the house, it would have been scary. But in my closet, I don't keep my clothes up so high. You know, when you're only 5'10", you don't want to get on a ladder to get your shoes and all that stuff. So my stuff was a little bit lower down. So all the water filled up all of that, all the clothes, shoes, ties, you name it, everything. So Sister Macy sent some of the ladies of the church when we were trying to tear everything out and get everything and just do whatever we could. She sent some of the ladies in there with trash bags to get all the stuff out of my closet. Now, some of the stuff they had planned on taking home and washing for me. Thank you, all you ladies that took some of my stuff. Thank you for doing that. I sure do appreciate. Yes, thank you for clapping for all three of you. I celebrate you. Thank you for doing that. Let me just say this right now, real quickly. Some of you shrunk my stuff because those pants don't fit, or the shirts. I don't know about the socks, but a bunch of it. But part of it was I just never let it go. Now, maybe you don't have this in your, maybe every month you just go through your closet, clean out stuff. But most people, you have things from high school. That 60 look is not coming back around. Bell bottoms are gone and they're out. But you just held on to it. Some of it is just, I don't know, I may wear that sometime. That double knit suit, I may want to wear that sometime. That Swedish knit, that's what they had back in my day, Swedish knit. And you, let me tell you what you could do. You could wad them up. You could tie them up, but you couldn't wrinkle them up. But let me tell you this. Once you ever sweated in them, you couldn't get it out. So after that, you wanted to give it up. But there were just stuff in my closet. And I don't know if Sister Macy told them, said, let me tell you what to get rid of. I don't know exactly how that came about. But I would go in there and they were like throwing stuff away. They just had stuff in. And I know what some of these ladies, all these married ladies, it was just like, I can't do this with my husband, but I'm doing it, Brother Macy. I'm throwing this stuff away. I'm putting this stuff in here. He don't need that. He doesn't have to have that. We're going to get rid of this and we're going to get rid of that. And some of it ended up at your house. And some of you washed it. Some of you brought it back. And some of you took it to your house. You washed it. You haven't brought it back. But if I see you wearing it, I'm going to come get you because I know that you got my stuff. I want it all back. I'm just kidding. All our stuff's come back. I'm just making light of that. But here's what I want you to see. I just held on to that stuff. I'm not going to wear that again. Even if I got the pants to match the jacket, that I never got the jacket. The jacket was just the color that you just couldn't find pants to match it. It wouldn't work. You just hold on to it, and it just becomes stuff that gets in the way of the stuff that you would have, that you would use, and that would be vital in your life. It's the same way when it comes to things in our life. We just hold on to them, some grudge, something that happened to us. Listen, we've all had stuff that's happened to us. If you've never been treated wrong, you have not lived very long in life. If you have not had dark days, you surely haven't lived very long in your life. If you've never thought about giving up, you haven't really had anything in your life. There's just things that come along and you just say, I'm throwing the towel in. This is just about the end of it. But if you let that stuff drape on your shoulders, it'll keep you from the presence of the Lord. You got to rise up and you got to cast it off. You got to throw it out. You got to say, I'm finished with it. I'm not carrying that another year. I'm not going to the new year with that on my mind. 2018 coming up, and y'all, it's coming up so fast it scares the daylights out of me. I mean, we'll just blink 3 times and it'll be like, y'all know this is Christmas. You know, it'll just happen that quick. But in 2018, there's some garments we don't need to be wearing when we go. We don't need to be carrying that along with us. It identifies who we are. It's the ho-hum crowd. Well, they're the depressed. Oh, they're the despondent. Yes, I understand. David had those that came to him. They were the D team. They were in debt. They were in depressed. They were in despondency. They were the whole thing that goes on. Listen, if you want people to be attracted to what you have, you can't do it by giving them a card. They got to see your life. What kind of life? If you're constantly down and depressed and despondent, and everybody has those moments, but if that's the way your life is, it becomes a garment wrapped around you that needs to be shed. You've got to throw that off of you, so somewhere down the line they see the garment of praise instead of the spirit of heaviness. They see something on you that makes them want to get that same thing on them. And so there are saints many times that, the Bible said he was begging. I see saints begging a lot of times. It's just a life. Thankfully, we don't have that as much as we used to. We used to have people, listen, in church, they came to church and their whole existence was just begging for something else from the Lord. I remember people in our church, and I can't remember if it was our first building or second building. I know it wasn't the third building, but in one of our buildings, I remember there was a lady that always came. She came to the left-hand side of the platform. She came every service. Her husband would come up there behind her. He would pray with her. She would cry. People would gather around her. They would cry. And then somebody would come get me and say, could you come over and pray for her? Now, this is a person raised in the church. She wore Acts 2:38 diapers. She had every kind of advantage. She knew everything that she needed to know. But she's going to come down. It's another Sunday night. We're going to pray for her again. And they said, she really needs you to anoint her with oil. And so I would go over and get an oil. And sometimes, it was like these people have enough oil on their head to crank a bus. And so here I go. I'm going to come over there with the oil. I'm going to pray with them another time, and then we're going to get another blessing. And sometimes people get wrapped up in this deal. Oh, I just want old-time religion. But really what they really are talking about is I want my kind religion. I want that to be always for me, and y'all always praying over me, and y'all always draping over me another opportunity. I'd like to get another little blessing on here. Somewhere you got to cast that off, and you just got to say, I'm a child of the King. God's got me for something bigger than this. God's got his hand on my life. He wants me to change somebody else's life. I can do this if I can get this garment off of me. You'll have people that are always willing to put a little something on your shoulders. Yeah, a little guilt on you. Yeah, I tell you what. Y'all don't have service 5 nights a week? No, we don't. Well, we do. So you get a little garment on your shoulder. Well, I should be going to church 5 nights a week. I can have church 5 nights a week, but I have no doubt you would not be here. That's the confidence I've got in you. We know one another. I know you guys. Pastor, I just wish service would just go late into the evening. Get up and say that in church and see how many arrows go flying across the room and hit you. Listen, that's not, people love to put a little something on you. They love to back up here and let me just drape this on your shoulder. Let me give this garment on you. Let's put this on so that you won't feel like you're doing anything for the Lord. Let me give you a little guilt garment. Let me just let you feel this a little bit. And so you just sit there by the wayside and Jesus is walking by every moment. And all it would take is for you to cry out to him and then get up and throw that thing off. You're not going to need that. You're not going to have that. You don't have to live under that circumstance. You don't have to live under that situation. Some of you are wearing that garment in your family that involves your family. And listen, just let me just give this to you. If you're watching by internet, you may not want to pay attention to this, but you know this. Some of you, your family's cuckoo. Hey, they can't hear your voice, but isn't that true? If you know somebody in somebody's family that's cuckoo, would you just say amen? The rest of you, come up here right here. I'm going to pray for you because you are not honest. You know you're around family members. They are crazy. And how your whole family revolves around them. that you just walk around waiting on them to have an issue with you or something to go on and a reason to be hurt at you. And you spend your life trying to do whatever you can do to make this work. And constantly the guilt is on you. Well, I remember my Granny Jones, when I would call her to check on her, she'd say, I just wondered when you was going to call me. You ever have that, where I just wondered when you was going to call? Well, I just called yesterday. Sometimes with hardening of the arteries and Alzheimer's, or as one of the ladies at church told me, Alzheimer's, both of them are bad. But we'd say, Granny, we came by to see you last week. Well, it's been a long time. Yes, it has. Yes, just last week. But they'll put the guilt feeling on you. They'll put the guilt trip on you. Somewhere you got to cast that off. You can't please everybody. You can't live your life for everybody. You got to throw that off. Now, let me just show you something. I got to hurry with this. The clock is ticking. In a minute, the buzzer is going to sound, and you're going to get up and run out of the building. And I don't have any time. I got to tell you this, carefully tell you this. Sister Macy and I talk about you a lot. All of y'all. And especially our young married couples. The other day I was at a store, and a man and his wife got out of the car. She was driving. He got out, and he had a walker, and he was walking on. I don't know his age. I'm not good with age. I still think I'm 43. So he's walking up there to the door, and I'm coming out. So I just hold the door open for him, and he comes, and she comes by, and then he's next. He looks up at me. He said, "Thank you, young man." It don't get any better than that. I'm 63 years old. He's calling me young man. I should have posted that right then. I should have took a selfie with me and the Walker guy. Walker, Kansas Ranger. Just like that, just said, I'll just take a picture of me and him together. And then I could post it and say, young man and old guy. But listen carefully to this. What bothers me for you, and what Sister Macy and I talk about all the time, is that everything that you get draped on you as a young married couple, family. All the stuff with school, all the extracurricular activities, all the family situations. Everybody you know's got 19 birthdays. I'm talking about and then you got showers, and then you got all this stuff going on, and then you're at one place where you're doing something. Okay, all right, we got karate over here, and we got to get through with here because it's wrestling in another hour, and you drive across town to go to wrestling, and you feel like you've been in a fight by the time the evening's over with. Every bit of it is conducive to destroy your family and your marriage. Because you're trying to always, listen, let me just tell you now, if Sister Macy and I would have done everything that our kids wanted to do when they came home and told us they wanted to participate in the things they wanted to participate in school, we would not be here today. Somebody else would be preaching. They would have killed us. It was a conspiracy with our children to kill Sister Macy and I with just activity. Got to be in this class. Got to be in this stuff. We got to be in the corral. We got to be in the this, and we want to play softball, and we got to play slide rule, and we got to play this, and we got to play something else. It was just one thing after another, so that we could just run frantically through the. There's some things you have to cast off. He cast that off so he could get to what really mattered. You've got to cast off some things that may be important, but they're not as important as having a family and having the Lord in your life. I was going pretty good there with some of y'all for a while, and then all of a sudden you quit getting behind me there because it's a little bit close. We know where you are because we've been there. It was always something. It was always something we needed to do. It's always something. Can you come to the school? Can you go over there? I don't remember what all the stuff that our kids participated in, but I remember us sitting there, and we would video it. I had my Beta camera on my shoulder to record everything that happened, every little thing that they did. You probably don't know what Beta is. This is back in the day, way back, a long time ago, silent movies and that sort of thing. And so I had that big old camera on my shoulder, and I thought I'd gotten a real good deal. Brittany was being born, and I wanted a video camera, so I bought that camera. Nobody told me that Beta had gone out. They weren't even using it. That's why they had it on sale. I thought I had the latest technology. It sat on your shoulder. It weighed probably 150 pounds, but it was portable. And so you put that thing on your shoulder. It had a big old battery, and it had a beta cartridge. See, the reason some of you don't even know what this is, beta cartridge. And what they were going to is VHS. That was the latest thing. My goodness. Why didn't we get that? Because with the beta, with the beta movie, when you filmed your kids getting their awards, you couldn't watch it, because it wouldn't play back through the camera. You couldn't do what you do today, just plug it into something. You know, where's my HDMI cable? I'm gonna plug this in. No. You're gonna have to get a player to play this thing. And it was something, when we rented the player so we could watch what our kids were doing, it was something, it was probably like the size of a big suitcase. And we set it, and it had this, it opened up with a door on top, and we put that in there. We closed the thing, we pressed the button, and then we were able to see our kids. And here we were sitting, all of our time spent, and they got a ribbon. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about, but this is exactly what I mean. Oh, we went over there. We killed ourselves. We were sweating when we finally got in there. Where are we sitting? Over here. I want to be where we can get pictures of this. And now Brittany Macy, and then she would come out with a ribbon. And then here they're going to get a trophy, you know, a gold colored plastic trophy for whatever it was. We're so glad. We're so proud of y'all's accomplishment. And the guy would say, if you didn't get a trophy today, we have a whole tub of them in the back. Go get you another one. And we don't know where all of that is. And I don't mean that there's anything wrong with appreciating your kids and their awards and all that stuff, but it can grow to such a place that you don't have a moment to think. You don't have a moment to pray. You don't have a moment to have a family. What you're trying to build is all this community, and all it's bringing is you division, and that stuff's on you. You got to cast that off of you. It may not look good to other people. It may look like, well, you're not doing everything that everybody else is doing. But it doesn't matter if it gets me to Jesus and I have success in what I'm going to do for my home and my life. These are the last things I want to say if they'll come and start playing something for me. Haggai 1 and verse 6 says, you clothe yourself, but you're not warm. All this stuff you're working toward, and it's not producing what you think it should produce. There'll always be somebody around you wanting you to help them move on Saturdays. Some of you got family members that they're moving every Saturday. You do. Every Saturday. Can you bring your truck and come help me? Some of you need to sell your truck and get a Volkswagen, because if you got a truck every Saturday, can you come help us move? Why are y'all moving so much? Y'all in the witness protection program? What's happening with you folks? And so you're always moving to somewhere else, always going somewhere else. And then you probably have relatives and friends that every Saturday they're having a birthday party. And it's not just, here's a little gift and we're really excited. I don't even remember what my birthday parties were like when I was growing up. We do have silent movies for this that my family took. You can't see me much because it was only 50 feet and it had to be developed, and so they took it real fast. I don't know if you can remember old movies, but old movies, they had to be developed. They cost money, and so they didn't just linger on Granny as she opened her gift. They'd just say, there was Granny. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, see her. I go back fast again. There she was again. But that was the next year, you know. But what would happen? You've always got somebody, and back in those days, they'd invite a few little kids over, and we literally played pin the tail on the donkey. I don't know if you can remember this. This may not even be politically correct to even make mention of the donkeys and all that, but we actually put on a blindfold. I don't know if y'all remember these days, and they would spin you around a little bit, and then you had one of the tails to pin on the donkey. Anybody ever played something as barbaric as this? Raise your hand if you did. I just got to see if there's at least 4 or 5 people. All right, the rest of you, I know it's just deplorable to be able to think about this, how barbaric it is. Or barbaric for y'all. Just seeing if you're, and then once you're blindfolded, once they let you go, you got to pin the tail on the donkey. That's about the way it was now. Now they have real donkeys coming to the birthday party. I'm not talking about your family. I'm talking about people bringing out a whole zoo and then... You may not enjoy this, Sister Macy is. Would you stand with me? It becomes a competition. Y'all had a zoo? Y'all have a few petting animals you brought to the birthday party? We're bringing elephants. Again, no reference to anybody. Y'all had this, we're going to have that. Losing just the idea of what it is. Because we feel this all the time, being put on us. Y'all know it's true. Y'all act like well, that's not me. It is you. And then the minute you come to the house of the Lord, that's why Wednesday night we don't have to put chairs out. You got to run across town to get something. Oh, they've got a science project. I know this is the way my kids would be. We'd be sitting at the dinner table. I have to have a science project tomorrow. What do they want you to do? Well, they want us to invent something. This is Brandon. Want us to invent something. What? Yeah, invent something. I'm not Albert Einstein. I can't. Son, do I look like George Foreman? I can't just invent something. Hey, this is really cool. I can't do this. What are we going to do? We're going to have to go somewhere, get something, invent something. We live that, y'all. It hadn't gotten easier. It's more difficult. Longer lessons, more extracurricular activity, more things you got to do and you got to prepare for and you got to plan for and what people expect out of you and the things that really life seems to demand out of you. We want you to do this. We want you to help that, but it's going to be, we have to work every Sunday and you're not going to be able to go to the house of the Lord and say, well, if I have to do that to keep on doing what I'm doing, I guess I'll have to do that. It's just another thing that's on you. And then when the Lord calls for you, that thing just weights you down. You got to learn how to cast that off. There's some relationships you're going to have to divest yourself from. You're going to have to say, I can't be with them. I can't go with them. I'm taking this off. I want you to do this with me today. We always tell you, if you're in the house of the Lord and you want to know more about the church, we always ask you to, after this altar, to go to our next steps. If you want to be baptized, I had a man come after the service, wants to be baptized in Jesus' name. You can go into the next steps. They can show you how to get baptized, and we can baptize you right now. Or if you want to get in a Bible study, you want to volunteer, you want to do something, you want to be a part of some ministry, you can do that right after we get through praying. But what I'd like us to do, it's not late at all. I'd like us to just come and stand for a minute in the presence of the Lord and just figuratively let something fall off of your shoulders as you're walking and just say, Lord, I take that off of me today. I get this off of me right here. I'm pulling this off of me. I'm not going to live my life like this in turmoil and this frantic pace that I'm living in. This frenetic life that I'm going through right here. I want to get this off of my shoulders today. I want to be in your house. I want to be in your altar. I want to praise you. I want to love you.
Thank you for joining us this week for the services online. I hope that this service and the message truly blessed and encouraged you. Remember that all the messages are uploaded to our YouTube channel, Facebook page, and iTunes podcast. This broadcast has added spiritual value to your life. You can give toward the continuation of the videos and the broadcast by going to www.royalwood.cc and hit the Giving tab. Thank you so much for being a part of our ministry today, and we'll see you next week.